Our group focuses on not only the status of homeless veterans within the U.S. and how it associates with Marxist conflict theory, but also the effect that mental illness has upon the rate of veterans that are homeless. We touched briefly on the subject of mental illness early on in our presentation. From post-traumatic stress disorder to major depressive disorder, the list of mental disorders that veterans can come back from the war with have an impact on the likelihood those veterans have of getting and maintaining a job. A supplemental report on homeless veterans states that about 51% of individual homeless veterans have disabilities, compared with 41% of sheltered homeless non-veteran individuals. A study about the prevalence and risk of homelessness among U.S. veterans explains that among 136,000 homeless veterans in 2009, 53% had a chronic health condition. Which leads me back to a brief summary of what was mentioned early on in our presentation about how the powerful have the means to avoid going to war themselves and send those who have less money and are lower in the class system out to war. We also focus shortly on how the powerful use their means to persuade the government to enter into a war to take over other areas, in which the conflict theorists believe results in imperialism. This results in the likelihood of a higher percentage of war and more soldiers fighting, which in turn leads to more mental disorders in homeless veterans after the completion of the war, which gives a realization of how the rich and powerful described in the conflict theory have an impact on the present standing of homeless veterans. The goal our group had was to shed light onto both of these subjects and then attempt to give a better understanding of how the two coincide. The conflict theory stresses the significance of the rich and the poor in society and how they contribute to the balance of our everyday social order. By relating this to homeless veterans, this theory makes you question whether or not the wealthy individuals in our society are one of the primary reasons for poor and homeless veterans. The face of veterans tends to be represented by males, but the number of female veterans are rising. And according to a report by the Congressional Research Service, women veterans face challenges that could contribute to their risk of homelessness. They are more likely to have experienced sexual trauma than women in the general population and are more likely than male veterans to be single parents. Although the status of homelessness and mental diseases among U.S. veterans is becoming an increasingly discussed topic, it is still relatively new and has just begun getting majorly reported on over the past decade or so. According to the Center for American Progress, 1.5 million veterans are at risk for homelessness due to poverty, lack of support networks, and dismal living conditions in overcrowded or substandard housing. All in all, the conflict theory helps us understand groups in this context by showing the correlation between the wealthy in this country and the lack of benefits given to those who fought for our country in order to maintain the social order. Luckily, according to the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans, it has been announced that just this past year, there has been a 17% decrease in veteran homelessness, giving us some hope to the attempt at ending veteran poverty. All right, well, thank you guys for listening. I really hope you enjoyed our presentation today and could take a little bit home with you.